What's happening, gamers? We are back with another reaction video, and we are reacting to 10 people that visited their own funeral. This is a very interesting video because I guess there's a lot of people that fake their deaths, mainly celebrities, all right? Who are some celebrities you think have faked their deaths?
I reckon Damie.
Yeah, I think Damie definitely has, I think that copper bloke, I think he's faked his death a few times.
True.
Yeah. All those scammers. But yeah, there are a lot of people that fake their deaths, you know, just because they want to go live a new life or whatever. And they just show up to their own funeral for whatever reason. So this is 10 people who visited? I hate that word. Visited their own funeral.
Visited.
Mate, English lessons with Mal and Copper.
Visited.
All right, 10 people who visited their own funeral. Let's get into it, mate. I wonder if there's going to be any celebrities.
Hey guys, it's Chris. From a man who faked his own funeral
Comes up
to
with,
the
like,
Cambodian zombie who scared away his mourners.
What?
Here are 10 amazing people who went to their own funerals.
Yeah, okay.
Their own funerals, all right.
I just heard zombie.
Yeah, I heard zombie and I was like,
Number 10, Timothy Dexter. This is one of the most bizarre and eccentric
Not
people
Timothy.
to have ever lived, and his story is legendary. He kept making horrible business decisions that ended up working out for him.
What a name, bro.
yeah, Timothy
Seems like
Dexter.
such a fake
Born in
name.
the winter of 1748. To a
1748.
struggled most of his life to make a name for himself, but Timothy was determined. He left home at an early age and lived in Boston, apprenticing at a leather dresser. Then Timothy tried to be a leather dresser himself. Didn't quite work out. And when Timothy met a woman named Elizabeth Frothingham, the couple married.
What are these
They
names?
moved into a rich neighborhood.
This is 1738,
where one of their
all right?
neighbors was the famous John Hancock. But they hated him and saw him as low.
Oh, names keep getting better and better.
Tried to
This is
swindle
actually
him out of his money
bullshit,
by
dude.
persuading Timothy to invest in a new trend.
Bitcoin.
Continental dollar bills. They
Bitcoin.
thought that those would become worthless after the American Revolution failed, but it didn't fail. It succeeded, and the currency became quite valuable. Well, Timothy invested all of his money in this new type of currency, and it made him a
V-Bucks.
stinking rich millionaire.
Damn.
The
There you
wealthy
go.
elites were not pleased
Boy,
with this
look at
at
the
all.
fit.
Dude, that was
Timothy
Bitcoin back in
just kept using his money
1738.
to make huge
Yeah,
investments and profit.
That would've been
His
Bitcoin
neighbors
back then as well.
despised him, and the only friends he had only wanted him for his money. Later, he sent wool mittens there, but those also sold for a premium because other merchants bought them and took them to Siberia. He even sold coal to the port of Newcastle, where they mine coal. That doesn't make a lot of sense. But
Wait,
he had the
what?
good fortune to sell the coal during a coal miners' strike, and it made him even more money. And then there came the funeral. Timothy wanted to
That's the
stage his own
entrepreneur.
funeral to see what people truly thought of him. He convinced his wife and children to take part. Over 3,000 people came to his funeral, including Timothy. But after the funeral, Timothy was caught beating his wife with a cane because she hadn't cried enough.
That is so
Laughed.
What the?
What?
He didn't actually die. What?
Wait.
Still very much disliked, but now he's legendary for his bizarre and wild investments and sales that all happen to work out and make him
Mate,
money.
screw the
Number
investments.
9,
He beat his
Gilbert.
wife, okay? I don't care that he invested into
For not crying enough.
At a
Like,
fake funeral.
Like, she knows it's fake.
Oh my
Hello?
god, dude. Like,
What?
Jesus Christ.
Bro, people back in 1738 were wild, all right? That's what I'm going to say.
Gilberto Ada Oju was working as
What?
a car washer in Brazil when his body was identified at the local morgue by his family, and the police called.
Can we get these
Gilberto's
feet off the
family to
screen,
see
mate?
if
What is
they could
this?
identify the body.
Oh, more shots of the
Did
feet.
identify the body,
Stop
only it
this.
wasn't
I don't
Blood
know
them,
this.
Breezy, blood
Police
them.
Inspector Roberto
Yeah, blood the feet,
Lima
mate.
later said that the mix-up was totally understandable. Seeing as both men were around the same age, each worked as a car washer, and they looked strikingly similar. Still, they didn't know that the mistake
How
had
do you
been
not-
made right away.
Bro, how do you not know that it's your
Gilberto
husband?
didn't even know that everyone thought he was dead
Yeah.
until a friend of his found him
Legit.
in the street and told him that his family was heading off to his funeral. He had, of course,
What?
tried to phone his family, but they ignored the phone call because they thought it was a prank. The only thing Gilberto could do was turn up to his own funeral in person, which he did. His unexpected appearance caused his friends and family to freak out.
What?
Some panicked and still others ran away. But in the end, everyone was happy to have Gilberto
What year was this?
back to life.
I don't know.
Number 8, the
How do you just mess
Cambodians.
that up?
A group of people attending a funeral in Cambodia fled in
That's so
fear
strange
after
to
a
me.
man turned up at his own wake. They
What?
basically thought this guy was a zombie. The 32-year-old Cambodian man had been suffering from an unidentified mental illness and had been missing for 5 days.
Oh my
Before
God.
a decomposed body was spotted
Holy
in a
shit.
nearby river.
Oh.
Authorities mistook the bloated corpse for the missing man, and his family set up a funeral. As you can imagine, when he walked into his cremation, People were pretty surprised to see him. In fact, the people were so surprised that almost everyone in attendance ran away because they thought he was a ghost. According to a statement from his own father,
Bro, what is wrong with people, dude?
his son was in fact real and still alive and not a ghost. He had to convince the villagers to return to the funeral to see it for themselves.
Could you imagine all the stress and trauma you would go through thinking your son's dead and like you're, you know, like how like sad and just like distraught you would be, and then they just rock up. They just rock up to their own funeral. You'd be so confused but so happy. You know what I mean? And I feel like your appreciation for that person would go through the roof. I think it'd be really good. Like, I think you'd appreciate that person way more than you did before. Because like, you know the feeling of them actually being gone now. It's just a bit of thought for food.
What would you do if you were at a funeral and the person who was supposed to be buried showed up? Would you freak out? I mean, I would. Tell me what you think by writing a
Imagine
comment.
like you're going.
I don't think I would freak out. I'd just be really confused.
Yeah, I'd be super
I would be hella confused.
Number 7.
Yeah, I'd be like, what? I'd be like, what the fuck's going on?
Recently decided to rehearse her own funeral for the reason that she didn't want to miss out on such a festive event. Zhang Dieng forked over a ton
Mate, she's
of
the
money
main
to create one of the
star.
most elaborate funeral services ever. She had flowers, photographers, and a large crowd of people ready to mourn her. But the strangest part is that the student was only 22 years old.
What?
What?
She spent a full hour lying completely motionless inside of her coffin, pretending to be a corpse. She had even paid a professional makeup artist to make her look like a dead body, and her friends and family all took part in the elaborate ceremony.
I don't think I would do that.
That is so strange.
Dude, imagine
like,
someone coming up to you and asking you to do that for them.
That's so like specific and strange, dude.
That is the weirdest one. You know what I mean? That feels like you're doing that for an ego boost. That's what it feels like. You know what I mean? She's there thinking, everyone loves me so much. Like, everyone's gonna hate you after. They thought you were dead. Why would you do
like
that?
Some weird fucking fetish, mate.
Yeah. Oh, I love playing dead.
Mate, she probably was. She was laying in the cover for an hour still. She was probably rubbing one out.
Yeah. Okay. Dude. No,
Jesus.
let's just get to
Like,
this.
I'm just saying,
Jesus.
man. Like,
Let's get to the next one.
Shut up. Sometimes your input isn't needed.
no, dude.
You know what? Whatever.
I'm just saying, man.
Is that Ward actually escaped his criminal past in England, made it to California, and then ultimately settled in Canada, where he lived a quiet life until
He's moved everywhere.
1903. According to the descendants of Frederick Ward, the police had set out to kill him, but had instead accidentally shot and killed Ward's uncle. Then covered the mistake up by saying they had killed the infamous robber Captain Thunderbolt. The police even held a funeral for Frederick Ward, in which a tall woman dressed in black with her face hidden by a veil attended. This tall woman was believed to be Ward himself, mourning his uncle at his own funeral.
Wow.
Number 5, the Premature Funeral. An elderly couple from Bosnia recently decided that they were going to attend their own funerals. It wasn't part of a joke or a hoax. They just wanted to have the joy of attending their own death ceremony before they actually died. The ceremony was held in a small northern village where
They're not dead, though.
speeches made about how the couple first fell in love. And then there was a traditional.
I guess this is one of the least weird ones.
By a night of celebration, music, and dancing.
I
According
guess
to what
like
the
to
couple
appreciate
told
their
local
life.
reporters, they were keen on organizing a proper funeral for themselves before they died, because they had no children and didn't want anyone else to pay for their burial.
Aww.
Now the burial is all paid for, and all they need to do is crawl into their graves. Number 4, body ID.
They're gonna crawl into their grave.
On the 1st of November, family members and friends of a man named Ademir Georges Gonçalves in Brazil identified
so
his
what I've
body.
noticed with a lot of these, right? Somehow, someone goes missing, right? This is like the structure of how these happen. Someone goes missing, rather than trying to contact that person or find out what's happened, they claim some random body that looks like the person, and then the person shows up at their own funeral, and everyone's like, what the hell happened? How does that happen?
It makes no fucking sense.
It's so good. Like, you just claim some random body. You're like, oh yeah, that's my son. He's dead.
As the victim of a deadly car crash.
We're gonna say.
The family was devastated. They scheduled the funeral to take place the next day.
Okay, all right. So the car crash. Was it even his fucking car? Like,
Yeah, dude. It's like, I can't with these people sometimes.
people just
The
drive me
car's still
insane.
at the house. Yep, we had a car crash. Oh my god, no way.
But what the man's family didn't expect was for him to walk into the funeral home while they were grieving. Instead, the crash had involved a man from one town over. After Ademir surprised everyone at his funeral, the body was handed over to the proper family, though not before the sight of the dead man caused some of his family members to literally jump out of the windows of the funeral home because they thought he'd risen from the
Jesus
dead.
Christ,
According
dude.
to the
Yeah, what is
manager
this,
of
a
the
prank
funeral
patrol
home, he'd
episode?
never witnessed such a dramatic scene in his 10 years of business. Number 3,
Yeah,
the
I mean,
bungled hit. When Noella Rakundo went from Australia to Burundi, there had been 3 hired killers waiting to take her out in a hit.
What?
They'd been
What?
paid by her husband as contract hitmen. She had
By
returned
her
to Burundi
husband?
after
That's
attending her
fucking weird,
stepmother's
bruh.
funeral. And
People
her
are
husband
so
in
weird.
Australia thought it would be a brilliant idea to get rid of her while she was out of the country. Unfortunately for her husband, the hitmen were not thrilled about killing a mother and innocent woman. Instead, they spared her life, extorted extra money out of her husband, and then gave Noella a memory card with the recording of her husband discussing the attempted murder.
Oh!
When Noella returned to Australia, her husband was already holding her funeral. He had assumed that she was dead and went ahead with the funeral without even seeing the body.
Whoa.
She surprised him by showing up to her own funeral, and it turned out to be quite an ugly surprise
Oh,
for
wait, no,
her
that's-
husband, who was
no,
later
that's sick
convicted
there.
in a court in Melbourne.
Oh my god.
According to the BBC,
That's
he was
nuts,
sentenced to
dude.
9 years in prison.
That's
There's like actual footage of that.
Wait,
Only
dude,
9 years?
9 years? Lock him up forever!
Bro, 9 years for a fucking attempted murder. Are you fucking serious?
Imagine how heartbroken she would be to find out that your husband wanted you dead.
Yeah, and 9 years later, then he could just go out and try and do it again.
Like what the?
Holy
That's so
fuck, dude,
stupid.
are you kidding me?
Pick up those hitmen though, like what?
Yeah, wait, that
Yeah,
is
I know.
so strange. That is so strange, especially from Hitman, dude.
Yeah, I mean, I guess they just fondled more money out of him and then just went and dobbed on him anyway.
Living in the east of China decided he would hold a funeral for himself just to see how many people really cared about him. Zhang Dieng was 66 years old. He had no children. He wasn't married, and all he wanted was to know how many people would show up to his funeral to give him one last goodbye. He
Oh, that's
organized
kinda
the whole
sad.
charade, and at least 40 of his relatives and several hundred local villagers arrived to mourn for him.
Wow.
He then surprised everyone who came to his funeral by jumping out of a fake tomb and holding a pretend ceremony in which he married a dead woman. It was all
what?
incredibly theatrical, and it ended up costing the old man over $2,000 to put on the fake funeral. In the end, it turned out he was actually quite liked, and everyone had a really good time. Number 1.
Oh,
a
that's
really
okay
good
then.
beginning.
That's
Yeah,
really
that's-
strange.
It's
but
strange,
still.
but if everyone had a good time, then well.
2 weeks before being officially deceased, he was declared dead by the local county coroner, Dexter Howard.
So he died
However,
twice.
After the paperwork was all done and Walter was put inside of a body bag and transferred to a
Body
funeral home,
bag?
the bag with Walter inside of it started to move.
Oh,
He was
no.
in the embalming
my
room when his
God.
legs started kicking.
Don't tell me he was
also
alive
started
for
to
the third
breathe
time.
again. An ambulance
Holy
was called
shit.
and
You know what this
paramedics
reminds me
arrived
of?
to take
Apparently there was a case where someone was pronounced dead. They put them in the coffin and they buried her. And as they were burying her, she actually came back to life or some shit.
Yeah,
I
dude,
can't
I've
remember.
heard that. I have heard that.
Apparently,
Yeah.
there was like it's happened with like cremations as well. It's like as people were about to get put into cremation, like they woke up.
That's nuts. That's like how? Like what?
Jeez.
I don't know.
That's so crazy.
That's how the human body works, though.
Yeah, that's actually nuts.
Walter was even in such great shape that he was released from the hospital just a few days later,
What?
nearly escaping
What
his
the
own funeral. But unfortunately for Walter, he then died 2 weeks later, this time for good.
What?
According to the
What?
exact same coroner who declared him dead the first time,
What the
it was
hell?
due to natural causes.
So he died
That's
4 times.
So...
Died 4 times.
Oh my god, bro! The guy that's like pronouncing him dead, and she was like, "This motherfucker, bro, doesn't give up, man."
Dude,
like,
this guy is like he's role
this
playing.
guy doesn't know when to quit.
And then like he probably woke up a 4th time. And they're like, "Okay, mate, just get in the casket. All right, it's your time."
No, maybe he woke up again. They just punch him in the nose. Or
Like,
something,
back to, yeah,
cremated.
they, instead of putting the oxygen
Back to
mask
the
on,
bed.
they just elbow him. They're like, "Down you go, mate. See you later." Now, I got a question. All right, would you fake your own funeral or not?
No, that's so fucked up.
For a video, yeah.
I
video.
think like if I was to fake it, I would make it super selective. Like I wouldn't tell my
Okay.
family.
Okay.
And, like if I wanted to do like a prank or something, like Damon said, like a video, I would only like probably tell you guys.
Okay.
Like make you guys believe that I was dead.
Or actually, I'm thinking about it now. Yeah, listen, I can't do that.
Why?
I couldn't do it. I would just be I'll be hear everyone crying. Like I'm in a casket, and everyone
You walk
crying
in,
their
you're like,
eyes
"Shut up,
out.
pussy."
Like
Stop
far
crying.
out.
No, you know
Imagine
what
what-
you do? You get out of your tomb and you just pull your pants and just moon everyone. Like,
Everyone be like, "What the fuck is going on, man?"
all right. Well, that was a
Oh
very
my
interesting video.
God.
Thank you, boys, for watching. I'll catch you boys in the next video. Peace.